So let's just get into the quick game. So very simple question. What is the quick game?
So quick game, 3-step drop. Like you said, 3-step drop from under center. Gosh, almost nobody does it anymore, right? Actually drop back from under center. It's one of those things that I want to do because of the novelty of it, almost. But
Right.
it is better, and we talk about this. We talk about some different things, but it is better. The timing is better from under center because you are not reliant on a snap, and unless your snap is 100% accurate, stick it in his hands and he goes 1, 2, 3. The timing is going to be accurate every single time. Most of us, whether we're dead ball snapping or traditional gun snapping, we are not getting a consistent 100% of the time snap like we would under center. But 3-step drop from under center, 1-step drop from gun, push it around 5 yards, I believe, behind the center when the ball is snapped. Ball is out 1.8. 1.3. I'm trying to remember the numbers from Bill. Ball's out in a second. 1.8, 1.3, 1.8. I think is the breakdown.
Is that from the last step or from the snap?
That is when he goes. I can't remember. I think 1.3 is the release.
1.3 from the snap.
Yeah.
So it's literally take your third step and let her fly.
Yeah, I think it's 1.3, and then I think 5-step is like 1.7, 2.3, 2.8, or something like that, if I remember right. And that is as you go through your progression. Now you don't really have a progression here. Okay. Most of quick game can be done in a pre-snap read or a very, very simple read. We'll talk about it when we go into it, but the beauty of this is that it can be done very, very. It doesn't take a lot of talent. You just have to be smart enough to look and go, that guy's probably going to be open, and throw it. It's about getting the ball out quickly. So we look at what, these are passes that we can throw reliably, no matter how good you are, we can get the ball out.
Right.
So quick game is quick releases, catch and throw, sometimes even, but usually a 1-step from gun, or we talk about catch and throw on like a hitch quick release, but usually a 3-step under center. And traditionally it's been going back, it's been a 3-step drop from under center. They are concepts that every team, any coach can teach them. Talking youth and up, any coach can teach these concepts. And I'll go a little bit further. Any coach, and we'll talk about why in a minute, any coach should have quick game. As we start season 13, Nate Albaugh, who was the original co-host of the Football Coaching Podcast, and I think we even have an episode on quick game where Nate talks about it, going back to like episode 9 or something like that. They're not good. Don't look for it. Nate's fine. I'm totally lost. ChiefPigskin.com, by the way. So he talks about they were a wing T, and their entire passing game was essentially that, hitch and fade, all things that they could pre-snap, read, and throw it. So yeah, quick game is about knowing where you want to go pre-snap, having a pretty good idea, having to not spend a lot of time on pass protection. And in fact, in some schemes, you don't even have to touch the guys before the ball is out. And it's just, here's the thing about, well, this goes into why, I guess, but it adds a passing element to absolutely any offense. And I think it should be there. I think that when Nate's talking about wing T 90% of the time running the ball, double wing is the only exception because there's just not a good way to throw quick game out of double wing. More play action and a couple of things there. But Anything where you have a split receiver, I don't see any reason not to be able to throw quick game.
So with what I know about the quick game is I was in 2 offensive schemes in high school. One was the wishbone and one was the wing tee. And I guess almost a double wing.
Oh, there's no almost double wing except Tim Murphy because he's in
We
shotgun
definitely
now.
had 2 wings and a fullback and a tight end sometimes. But I feel like sometimes we
No,
played some wide receiver. So I
your
guess that's
double
just
wing, it's all tight end wing, both
okay.
sides. Double
Well,
tight,
then
double wing.
I guess you could just say we were wing T then. We had double wings, but we
That
had
sounds
split
right.
out. There we go.
2 wing backs does not a double wing make.
Does not a double wing make. I like it. So I was in the wishbone and the wing T in my high school career. And I was a little geeky kid that put at receiver because I couldn't catch anything, or like the 15th string running back. And that's all we had was quick game. There was no, you didn't 5-step drop. What are you going to do? Like, nah, the confusion was gone in that 1.3 seconds or whatever, and you better let the ball fly. so,
Yeah.
so that's all I knew that passing was the quick game. There was no long game for me. So this is the passing that I knew as a young athlete.
Yeah, so I guess the different types of passing, we should mention it. 3-step is 1, 2, 3 and throw. So it's from under center. It's if I'm a right-handed quarterback, I'm stepping back with my right foot. For depth, it's usually 1 big and then 2 quick. So my first step is a big depth step, and then I'm getting a second step crossover with my left, and a third step kind of setting with my right. And then I'm releasing generally from there, and leading my that third step hits the ground. That the decision should be made on the second step, according to Coach Malchoy.
Gotcha.
The decision should be made on the second step. To me, that's, and Bill will tell you this too, I think. The decision isn't actually made on the second step. The decision is made before the snap. And by your second step, you're confirming the decision and saying, okay, I saw an 8-yard off corner. We got a hitch called. And on that second step, I know I want to go to that corner to the right. And on that second step, I am looking out there and going, okay, he didn't just suddenly drive up 3 yards and jump the hitch. They will do that
Right.
too.
Yep.
So you're just confirming on the second step that, yeah, this is where I want to throw. So it's, 1 big, 2 little. If it's catching, and that's the disadvantage of gun or pistol.
You don't get the timing right. You don't get a read, I guess. You don't get a read step.
I can't have my eyes downfield because of what we mentioned before. Most of our centers are not 100% accurate. So if my eyes are downfield, so I've got to catch, look, step, throw. So it's not going to be as fast. It's not going to be as good. We can get pretty fast, but it's not going to be as good. The timing is not going to be as good, which is why I don't think it's as big a deal from a 5-step drop perspective because there's so much more to break down, right? My receivers have more steps to run. They can get pressed and all this stuff. And if you press me in quick game, it doesn't matter. It's just determining if you walk out and you press, and we can talk about the concepts in a minute, but if you walk out and you press my receiver and I have curl concept called curl flat. Well, I still like to run the curl flat because I think I can get the flat route out there because usually you're going to press one, you're going to play off with the other. And I can still hit that flat. So I'm not going to check out of it. I'm still going to run the curl and I'm going to carry that guy on the side. And a lot of times he'll get open. But if you press me, but I just know the timing is going to be different, right?
Right.
But if you press me and I have quick game called, I have a hitch called, and you decide to press me, well, it just converts to a fade. So you didn't take anything away with that. You didn't make it harder on me. You just determined where the ball is going to go.
Right. You just audibled for me.
You made my decision for me. Now you may be a great press coverage corner. That's all game planning and stuff. Right. But as far as just decision making, you made that decision for me.
So that'll bring us to the next question. It's just, why do you need this in your offense? So you mentioned earlier you can add a passing element to any offense, but why does every offense need this?
I think you cannot underestimate how stupid football coaches are. Okay. When we see passing, high school level, assuming, unless you're in like a big, air raid area or a big school area, most of our coaches are rural. We're because most of the country is still rural. We are small schools. We are seeing, and I say rural, I don't, we're not in big cities. We are seeing high school football is a run heavy game.
Yep.
We've got the wing tees. Even the teams that are in a spread, they are zone read. They are power read. They are running the football still. They're spread to run. That's still the primary thing. I am in a suburban, mostly with some rural district. We have one state champion this year. We had another state champion for 2 years running, Travion Henderson School. So we're not a podunk. We have multiple Virginia state champions in recent years, and it is run heavy. These are 5As, 4As. We're 3A, but these are good sized schools that run heavy. Now, you might be the best running team in the world, but if you can throw a hitch and a fade, nobody will load the box on you. You may have Travion Henderson and run a wing tee. They don't run a wing tee, by the way. It's spread. Spread to run if it's Travion Henderson. But if you can throw decently well, nobody will load the box on you. Nobody will go cover zero. Very, very few. And if they do, as long as you can hit. And here's the other thing. We are blind to what is happening, what is actually happening during the game. We are blind to the numbers. You just threw 7 fade balls. You were 1 of 7. Do you know what happens on the one? Corner falls down, you score. All right, get out of cover zero. They're going to kill us on the fade ball. Look, every football coach in America, not everyone, there's a couple that are really smart. We remember the big plays. We look at the one play, and we make judgments on kids all the time. You cannot tell me you don't do this. A kid trips over his feet and gives up a game-winning touchdown. That's where the focus is on him. He's on the chopping block next week. Doesn't matter what he did, right? His job's up for grabs. Unless he's the best guy on your defense, his job's up for grabs. That's so. Quick game is a cheap way to install a quality passing offense. And if I have coached 50-50 teams, 50% run, 50% pass. Most of my pistol power offense teams have been 50-50 or close to it.
Right.
It's not by design. It's just the teams load up on the run, we throw. Teams load up on the pass, or teams empty the box, we run. We did it in our playoff game against a team we had no business being on the field with. But they went straight cover zero against us, and we completed passes. And then they went to like a 2-man, and we handed it off. And we weren't going to win that game. I can just go and tell you that. We didn't have the bullets. But this is our first year getting into. But I can tell you that they were real nervous, and I was like, "Oh my God, we might win this." When it was 28-20, third quarter. That's how we get the balance. But if you have this element in your offense, people think, like I said, we completed a couple passes on their cover zero. And they're like 2-man. This is a really good football team with a really good football coach. It has a massive influence on how people treat you. There's no reason anybody shouldn't have it. Again, unless you're just a double wing team and that's your whole world.
I do know that as a young DC and then helping out a first-year DC this year, we were not breaking down their passing concepts by quick game, long game,
3-step,
whatever.
5-step, yeah.
No, not
Pass.
And right. And so what you said, don't underestimate how stupid we are. That kind of hits me right in the heart
I
because
don't do it either.
we
In reality, I look at it and I go, they pass on third down.
I will say something we did this year is we just went man and just live and die by the sword because I don't even know that we were better athletically, but we knew the people did not want to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And we were good enough to hang with those receivers and be there and possibly knock something down. But really, we just leaned on the fact that, like, can that high school quarterback complete 50% of his passes? Because if not, we're just going to stop the run, right? Like, that's kind of our thinking, I guess. So, yeah, we definitely didn't break it down quick game or 3, 5, 7-step drop.
And I think a lot of your high school coaches are still at the Woody Hayes mentality, right? Three things can happen. 2 of them are bad.
You ain't kidding. We've said that this year. I said that out loud to my corners. Like if they throw it, three things can happen. 2 are bad. I said the exact same thing.
And you mentioned the 50%. These are high percentage throws for the most part. These are you've got to train your quarterback. Don't release the football in an area where a hitch can get pick sixed. Don't throw a fade inside. Don't throw a slant high. I mean,
Right.
just like that's the worst thing that can happen to you. Those are the things that you got to teach your quarterback. These aren't 50% throws. And again, I forget how Bill breaks it down off the top of my head, but it's somewhere in the 70% plus range that you should be on hitch. Now on fade, I remember talking with Kevin Kelly, and he was like talking to some Division I coach that brought Kevin Kelly in for advice. And Kevin Kelly was telling him, you don't even complete more than 25% of fades on air, which I think that number's probably inaccurate, but he was basically saying nobody is better than like 25% on fade balls.
Right.
And
that's okay, right? Because
that's okay.
22 yards on outside the hash, right?
Yeah, so he hates fade routes, and I don't. But you have to teach your kid. I don't expect to be 50% on fades. I don't expect to be 70% on fades. I mean, maybe I don't even expect to be 30% on fades. I expect 100% of them to either be caught by us or hit the ground. That's it. I expect none of these to be intercepted. That's the thing you have to teach your quarterback.
So we'll move on to what are the basic concepts? I know you said you wanted to kind of talk about some, and you brought one up earlier, curl flat, and so what are the easy, the cheap installs, the quick, what can get a coach into understanding the quick game and be the most efficient with it right out of the gate?
So curl flat is a 5-step drop back pass. The main concepts that you're going to run, they all pretty much mirror. This is one of the things I like about our system. So pistol power offense system inside JDFP coaching systems. Our quick game 60-61, the odd or even just sets the protection. 60 series is 3-step drop. I don't know why. Okay. Because the 3 back is getting handed the ball. 50 series is drop back passing. 60 series is quick game. It might have something with protection. I don't know where the original idea came from, but anyway, the 60-61 is hitch seam. That's the basic. Now we can tag that to be all hitch. We can tag that to be 4 verts. We tag it all hitch. Then the seam guys, the number 2 receivers run hitches as well. We tag it to be 60 or 61 up. The up tells the outside guys not to run a hitch, but to run a fade. So it becomes 4 verticals. We can tag it to be 60 up HY out, which tells the inside guys to run out routes. That's more of a quarters beater. can be man, but more quarters attacking those flats, trying to get this because the safeties won't drop on it. So we can get a lot of mileage out of this, but that's our base concept is hitch seam. And so that is a very simple route. Tony DeMeo's rule should be everybody's rule. You see a hitch, throw a hitch. If you call a hitch route and the hitch is open, throw the hitch, because hitch should be 80% completion. That's Bill's number. It's correct, by the way, with high school kids. Hitch should be 80%. Hitch should never get picked off. You should never throw hitch if you look out there and go, is it? That's not why we call hitch. Hitch is I look out there and go, he's 8 yards off. He's going to backpedal for 3. He's probably, if he's a high school corner, by the time that the ball is actually snapped, he'll be at 9 because they all start to drift out.
If you can get a long cadence, like they're going to be at 10.
They'll be at 12.
Like it's ridiculous.
If you see a hitch, throw a hitch. They do not look for the ball to be snapped.
Oh, man.
They're just backing out.
I feel so sorry for cornerback coaches across the nation because I know they're just like I was this year with
I tell ours, you look scared.
DBs just bailing as soon as they can.
I tell our corners, you look scared. And if I'm the offensive coordinator, I look out there and I go, that kid's scared to death. Because what's the corner coach or the DC or the head coach yelling at him? Don't get beat deep. Don't get beat deep. Okay. Here's the key on the hitch. You want to learn the whole hitch seam concept and all that sort of stuff. You need to get in JDFP coaching systems when it opens back up. But the key point is he's being told, don't get beat deep, don't get beat deep, don't get beat deep. And I'm going, great. Fine. Because here's the thing. I'm going to catch and I'm going to turn outside. Critical coaching point. Catch the ball and turn outside. Why do you turn outside? Because there's nobody else out there. And so if I turn outside after I catch it, I need to break 1 tackle. And then it's not a hitch. You're scared to death to get beat deep. Guy comes up and misses a tackle and I'm gone. Now it's a touchdown. Hitch seam, see a hitch, throw a hitch, break a tackle, score a touchdown. Don't come back inside. Don't try to juke anybody. Turn outside. It is a 6-yard gain if you get tackled immediately. It is a potential for a touchdown. It is a high percentage. It is the ultimate spread offense spacing play. Because I have a guy 8 yards off. I'm going to catch it, and then I'm going to have a one-on-one. How many of you have ever run a one-on-one tackling drill and had it go well? Because we all run one-on-one tackling drill. We all run the open. When I say one-on-one, open field tackling.
Right.
We all run the open field tackle drill for the defense. If you run it every day or every week, I wouldn't run it every day, but if you run it every week, your kids get better. But a lot of times what coaches will do is like, oh, we didn't open field tackle very well this game. We're going to open field tackle this week. Then you find out why you didn't open field tackle well that game, because you can't do it. By the way, you shouldn't be doing it. You should be gang tackling. Open field tackle should be ugly, disgusting. Grab a jersey, hold on, wait for help, and then 3 more guys should get there. You don't want open field tackles. And if you had the right leverage that we teach in JDFP coaching systems and all of our coaching systems, if you had the right leverage and the right alignment, he wouldn't have thrown that hitch to begin with. And if he did, we'd break on it. We'd take it. Or break it up at least. We don't make open field tackles. We shouldn't have to make open field tackles. We do everything else right.
That's what I'm going to tell the press from now on, forever, when they say, your team didn't do very good with open field tackles. Yeah, we're not supposed to.
We're not supposed to be good. Nobody's supposed to be good at open field tackles. The kid with the football is the best athlete on the field. And he's got 15 yards of space with one other kid there. You're going to lose every time.
We're supposed to lose that matchup.
If you and I, I don't know if you're a better athlete than me, but you're a little bit younger than me. I would still win at least 50%, if not more, of you and I in a 15-yard space. One time I just run you over, okay? Now I'm hurt. So I lose a couple, but I recover a little bit. And then I don't put on a move, but you just slip. Like, you shouldn't. Okay. So throw a hitch. If you see a hitch, throw a hitch. The other part of that is the seam routes where you read off the free safety. You don't go reading off a free safety unless the hitches are taken away and you don't like the fade matchup and they got one high safety. Now, they got two high and they're so deep that I can get it over the linebacker and under the safety. I can throw that too. That's essentially an uncovered,
So you said hitch seam, you call the hitch, they press, you're going to basically self-audible into a go route. So now you got 4 verts anyways.
Depending on
still just wanting to throw at the one. I mean, the seam is really just to keep the safety away from number one.
Fade is a matchup. Yes. The seam is and the spacing on these routes is critical. Okay, you're at the bottom of the numbers and you're at the hash and all that sort of stuff. The spacing on the route, because otherwise you end up with, you have 4 verticals, you end up with one guy covering 2 routes.
Yeah.
That's no bueno. Or you're going to put 2 guys covering 1 route because they can break off the one that you didn't throw to, and the other guy breaks to the one that you do throw to.
Right.
You got 2 on 1 now. Now you get a fade picked off. Fade is always a matchup.
Gotcha.
Let's say that I lined up and they had 2 D1 corners out there, and then they had 2 safeties that were 9 yards off, taking away the seams. Okay, now I'm going to catch and I'm going to throw the ball over everyone's head. And I'm going to hit the mascot in the face because there's nothing open.
Right.
But otherwise, I'm going to look out there and I'm going to go, okay, which fade matchup do I like the best? Assuming that there's not a hitch open on the other side, because they might a lot of teams press on one side and not on the other. They got one guy that they like to press and one that they're scared to press because they don't trust their coaching ability. So what we look for is which one of those fades has the best matchup. Okay, my receiver's 6 foot, your guy's 5'8". Well, I like that matchup because if I throw it up 22 yards deep, drop it in the bucket, throw it's a trash can throw. That's a drill that we use. Catch, throw it in the trash can. 22 yards deep, drop it in the trash can, bottom of the numbers. Okay, if my guy's 6'2" and your guy's 5'9", I'm going to throw my trash can ball, try to drop it in the trash can at 22 yards deep, give my guy a chance.
Yep.
He knows I either catch it or I knock it out of bounds. But the other kid ain't catching it.
So what would your next basic concept be?
Next one is so 60-61. This is one thing I like about our system, by the way. 60-61 is hitch seam. 50-51 is the drop back version. It's hitch corner, which is smash.
Right.
62-63 is slant arrow or slant shoot or whatever. We call it slant shoot, but slant flat. Our 52-53 5-step version is a post and an out. Well, if you look at a post, it's a slant run at 7 steps instead of 3. You look at an out, it's 4 steps and a shoot or an arrow, essentially. So we use steps a lot of times instead of yardage.
Yes.
Just for the timing purposes. And again, it helps to be under center. I wish we did more passing under center. It's one of the things we'll work on. But shoot is SHOOT, by the way.
I've seen it both. So Joe's making fun of my note taking here because
I'm not making fun of your notes. I'm just saying no, because if we were
some people do think of it as a shoot, but some think of it as like shoots and ladders, right? You got the shoot is the slide.
Well, this segment is sponsored by Pistol Power Offense System now.
It's SHOOT. Gotcha. I was using elementary school, Joe.
Shoots are what you run offensive lineman and defensive lineman through when you can't think of anything else to do with them.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. So the shoot route is, that's the we do two steps 45 degrees and then flat. It's get width fast. Here's my thing with slant. we threw slant this year. I'll actually have film of slant this year because we threw a decent amount of slant. Young quarterback, struggling, decent running game, very good running back, very great kids on the offensive line. Absolutely not a dominant offensive line. We were on our 8th offensive lineman and on an offensive line that only had 3. But we were still able to move the ball. You find a way because those kids were tough kids and they were willing to learn and figure it out. But the only reason we really ran it was because we needed a cover 0 beater because they were loading the box on us, taking away the run game and blitzing. And when you have a young quarterback, he's very skittish of the rush initially. It takes a while for quarterbacks to get used to standing in there. And he eventually got much better at it. But and eventually we even threw slant in situations that weren't cover 0, but initially we had to put the slant in because it is one of the primary cover 0 beaters that we have. And we knew he was not going to be able, because of our offensive line and because of the pressure we were getting, we knew he was not going to be able to really stand in there and deliver the post, which is the primary cover 0 beater for us. Because we're just getting too much pressure and we couldn't protect it. And he wasn't going to stand in there even if we protected it kind of well. You can do that protection where you're getting pushed back. They're not going to hit him full force,
Right.
But the
It
wall
crowded,
is coming
right?
towards you.
Yeah.
Young guys won't stand in there and knowing that I'm just going to get kind of a bump at the end. And so we knew we couldn't do that. So we ran the slant. I should mention why we hate the slant. My head coach and I. We were in a playoff game. We were up 20-19. Or down 20-19. I can't remember at this point. We were in a game, second round of the playoffs, 2017, against Goochland, who was the big dogs, state championship kind of team. We came out at the beginning of the second half. I think we were down 20-19. We were like, we're in this. Keep in mind, we are a year removed from a 4-6 team where we got the doors blown off the last 2 or 3 games of the season. I mean, lost 50-0 the last game of the season. Now we're in a playoff, second round playoff game against the number 1 seed. Hadn't lost a district game in a decade. They're in our district, and now we're playing them a second time. They beat us like 48 something to 20 already. We are 20-19. We drive all the way down the field. I think we're on like the 6. Throw a slant, which teleports. It was a double slant, so it was the inside receiver. It wasn't a slant shoot. But the slant route on the goal line, they didn't go 0 on the goal line, I don't believe. The ball teleported through the receiver.
It's the transfer portal.
Into the hand, yes, transfer portaled into the hands of a linebacker who took it 99 yards the other way. We tackled him at the 1, gave up the touchdown the next play. And I think we ended up losing like 48-27 or something like that. And we the big fear for me with slant is a ball thrown high against any kind of zone coverage where someone is standing back there.
Right.
And you say, well, curl, you throw curl, you love curl. The same thing's going on. You're throwing it underneath cover 3. Well, curl, the receiver is coming back and facing me. So if the ball is thrown high, he's in position to jump, catch it, knock it down, something. If the ball is thrown high on a slant, I'm on the move. I can't stop, turn, jump, knock it down.
Right.
So a high throw on a slant is extremely dangerous, and that's why I use it primarily as a cover 0 beater. I primarily like a 3-step slant. We can tag it with slant shoot. We can tag it with a sluggo, all that kind of stuff. I assume with the slant shoot. With double slant, we can go slant shoot. We can go double slant. We can go sluggo. We can do all of those things. But slant primarily cover 0. Most of my drop back, most of my quick game is going to be hitch or fade. And slant, we ran it more this year. That's all I can say.
Are there any other basic concepts the coach should put in if he's wanting to have a diverse 3-step drop game?
There's the speed out, and here's the issue with the speed out. So all of your speed out would be 6, and I don't think that Bill has this in his system at all.
And this is by number one, right? You're not talking about a shoot route.
Yes, by number one
runs a speed
out.
out.
I would probably tag this onto hitch seam and still run a seam route with my inside guy. But I've seen other teams run a speed out by the number one receiver. What your number two receivers do is kind of irrelevant because what you're really looking for is reads. But the slant shoot, you're looking for that guy to clear out the window or it creates a pick. But really you're looking to throw the slant or you're looking to read off of the rub. Sorry, I'm an offensive coordinator. The rub. And that's when you throw the shoot. We're pre-snap reading that. Or, again, man coverage by the outside guy, press man by the outside guy, 9 yards off by the inside guy, press quarter situation. It's like, well, I'm going to throw the shoot route to the flat. And unless you audible, check to cover two, I'm going to complete it. And then we'll take our chances from there because it's in space. One of the things you need to know about our passing system is that all the throws are the same. The throws to number one. So the hitch route is 12-yard split. He goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the fifth step, he drops his outside foot and opens. The ball is thrown at the same spot every single time. Well, the slant route needs to have a wider alignment, probably about 15 yards, play with it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and he catches it in the exact same spot that the hitch is thrown. The speed out needs to have a tighter alignment. 1, 2, 3, 4, drive through, catch it about 3 steps out there. The timing is the one concern that I have because we're not going to get to the depth and then break out the way that we do. But I can see that. I used to say, high school quarterbacks are really, really hard to throw. I still think it is, but I think it's almost impossible for most high school kids because nobody's running cover two where you would have an outside leverage corner. So you are going to have an inside leverage corner and I'm going to create even more space with him because the corners that give us more trouble actually play inside leverage.
Right.
Bear Bryant, the 5-spoke coverage. Bear Bryant in his book, on his actual coaching book, talks about the 5 spokes and the corners need to be inside of the safeties or not, inside of the flat players. Right. And then the safeties are inside of them. Or the safety is inside of them. Most teams don't do that. Those corners go out and play almost head up. You could throw a slant all day on that. In fact, you throw a double slant because that way you'll hold the outside linebacker,
right?
Or throw a slant with a go and carry that guy out of there. With the speed out, you have another answer for the guys that play inside leverage. If they play inside leverage with good depth, if they play inside leverage and they're too deep, we throw the hitch. If they play inside leverage and they're at the right depth, the slant gets hard to throw. The hitch at the right depth gets hard to throw.
Right.
And so that speed out would give us an answer to that. I haven't thrown it. This is just me talking. I haven't thrown it, but I like that as a concept.
Gotcha. Well, I think that closes us out for the official first episode of season 13. Unless you have any other concepts you'd like to tack in there. Anything else?
I would just say that all of these can be tagged. We in the Pistol Power offense, we have essentially 2 quick game concepts. Our 4 verts is just a tag off of hitch seam. So it's 60-61, which is hitch seam, and then we can tag that 60-61 up, as I already mentioned. We can tag it all hitch. We can go slant shoot, which is 62-63. I can tag that as 62 double. I can tag that as 62 sluggo. I can tag that as 62 whatever I want. I can do all sorts of stuff with it. I can tag that as a 62 slant wheel. I can tag it as a 62 and then tag who I want to run a bubble. Let's say I want to go with a trick set, trick or tilt, twin set, and my Z receiver is the inside receiver, and I'm going to tag that 62 Z bubble. So now I'm going to have a slant bubble. All of those are good concepts. All of those work in the right situation, call them the right time. We have 5 drop back passes, right? We can tag those as well. We can go post out. I can go post wheel. I can go smash the post corner. I can go a box smash. I can run speed out on the hitch route on that if I want to keep them on the move rather than I can run it as a whip route. I can tag it, I can tag it as a scissors route where I can have him running a corner and the other guy running a post. I can do the same thing on post too, where I get a scissors concept, curl. We can, curl wheel, all that sort of stuff. We can tag all of these. So you're not limiting, but you don't need 10,000 different quick game concepts. To be honest with you, the things that we talked about here, I told you the one problem that I can have with quick game, which short of just talent or you being really, really good at press. The one problem that I can have is if you play at the right depth with the right leverage, you can take away hitch and slant. Still don't necessarily take away fade doing that. I can still throw a fade because you're inside leverage. I can still put it over the outside shoulder and give myself a chance.
Kind of get them in no man's land, right?
But I don't get that quick catch and throw thing
Right.
that I want. Because you don't need a lot of concepts. And honestly, you're not going to see many teams actually do that well.